Girls need fun, and we want to be able to fund our lives. Our guest today sits at a powerful intersection of strategy, venture capital, and creativity. She's worked across consulting and early stage investing, backed high growth startups across the continent, and built a creative brand rooted in culture, identity, and transformation. She's also been recognized on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list and brings a grounded, faith-led perspective to everything she does.
So for me, it was important to come back to Lagos 3 years ago because I felt like the market is getting to an inflection point. I really think business is a consistency game, because other people would give up.
What's one belief you had to unlearn? Dolapo, welcome to Real with Rayo.
Thank you. Thank you, Rayo.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. The way you introduced me is like, oh, wow, okay.
You're that girl.
Thank you.
You absolutely are. And for anyone meeting you for the first time today, who is Dolapo beyond all these titles and amazing accomplishments you have?
Okay. I was already,
straight into it.
I was ready for that. Who am I beyond all those things? I think I'm actually I don't want to say simple because I don't think I'm that simple, but I think I'm actually someone that's kind of lazy, surprisingly.
Really?
Yes. I'm not lazy, but I always find quick ways to do things.
Okay.
And constantly kind of looking to optimize things. So if it's going to take an hour, I'm going to try and do it in 20 minutes.
Efficient.
I'll rather sleep. I love sleep so much. I love naps. I take naps as often as I can. I think the end of your introduction is I would always just want to make sure I'm aligned to what God wants me to do at every single time. Because anytime I'm in alignment, I feel at peace. I feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to do here on earth.
Yeah.
And so, I think I'm that. Just love chilling as much as I can as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's great. Faith is something you've spoken about so openly across your different platforms. And how has it shaped your decisions as a founder and an investor?
My faith has just guided every step I take. So I think it helps me make decisions. It helps me know where to be at a particular time. So every single job I've taken or every single opportunity I've taken at a big scale has definitely been kind of led by God and I felt okay, this is what I'm meant to do at this particular time. So I'll say it really just guides my career. Yeah, I really don't like to joke with that because I'm just I just don't want to not struggle because even when you're in alignment, you can still find things difficult. But I just always want to make God happy. And I find that whenever I'm in alignment, I'm just I find grace. So even if things look so difficult, how is it possible? It will be possible. You know what I mean? And I just feel okay, God, if you send me to do it, you have to help me. So I can always be
go back
help
to
me,
him.
and he will. So I think it guides that.
Yeah, I love that because it's one of my favorite prayers, just God, please order my steps because there's so much we don't know and so much we can't control.
Exactly.
And I'm someone that likes to be in control of everything. I need to know what we're doing. I need to know what the plan is. If I can control everything, I probably would. But you have to also let go and just trust. So I like that you apply that to your business. But before you had access to capital or insider knowledge, what was the hardest part of building your career?
I think the hardest part, right now or just in general in the last, I guess I've been out of uni for that's crazy, 9 years. That's actually absolutely crazy to say.
Wow.
But throughout the journey or right now?
Let's say throughout the journey.
Throughout the journey, what's been hardest? I think just pushing through. I don't know, at least currently, that I'm meant to live a very laid back life career wise. And so obviously oftentimes that involves late hours, a lot of travel, a lot of just pushing a lot. And oftentimes I feel I can't do it. And then I can do it eventually. And so I would say the hardest part is just that resilience sometimes to just keep pushing, even like on the days that it's not the easiest, when things don't always make sense, but like I just have to keep going. And so, yeah.
What gives you that push when things don't make sense?
The first thing, if God, I'm like, God, if you said it, like,
Okay.
you're gonna come through
Yeah.
one way or the other. And like the thing is that the beauty of hindsight is you're always like, oh my God, thank God I did that. But then, you know, you have to keep going to be able to get to that position that you would have a point of reflection.
Yeah.
And so I would say that has helped me keep going. And just like I know the kind of life I want to live, and it requires a lot financially. And so I think that's also a big motivator for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny because when I was thinking about our episode, and I've been wanting you on the podcast for a while, and I said when I'm in Lagos, I'll definitely reach out to you because I think what you're doing is so important, but also so unique because of your job as founder and CEO of Refaini, but also working in VC. And it's like, girls need funds. And we want to be able to fund our lives. So it's really important that people like you can sit down with me today and share your knowledge and also share how you've done it, because I think it's so daunting looking from the outside in. So I like that you've just said you're a simple girl who knows exactly what she wants. So let's demystify venture capital and let's break it down very simply. What is it and what does an investor actually do day to day?
Okay. So venture capital is simply the earliest form of finance that is used to kickstart your business.
Okay.
And these businesses tend to be high growth businesses that can scale to a significant amount of, revenue, users, things like that. So that would be the simplest summary. Venture capital actually started to fund innovation. And so it's definitely one of the riskiest forms of investment, because you're sometimes funding businesses that don't have any revenue, and you're backing an individual that you trust will get to that point. And so it's definitely like one of the riskiest forms of investment, and the businesses have to be high growth, usually tech enabled, and definitely not like traditional, like slow growth businesses, just because venture capital has a 10 to 12 year life cycle.
Okay.
And so you should be able to return the amount of at least more than what was invested in you within that life cycle. And so that's why high growth is extremely key.
Right.
It's not for SMEs that, require maybe 40 years to get to that scale, but more for high growth businesses. So like WhatsApp, Uber, businesses that we just said about 10 years ago, and they're already like part of our everyday lives.
Right.
So yeah.
Nice.
So my day-to-day in VC involves speaking to founders a lot. So I would say like sourcing deals.
Okay.
So that could be speaking to founders, going to events, just finding ways to meet people and meet these people that you're going to fund. The second aspect of my day-to-day is like due diligence. So once you've found the businesses that you have a high probability of investing in, you would usually like dig deeper into the businesses, understand the fundamentals of the business, and see if they're fit for overall the fund's thesis. And then post-investment, you just do some support to these portfolio companies because they're essentially your babies that you must ensure in the 10-year life cycle, at least some of them return the capital. It doesn't actually need to be all of them, because some businesses naturally will die.
Yeah.
And you go into these deals knowing that like not all of them are going to survive. So.
Yeah. Nice. What personally pulled you into the world of investing?
What pulled me into VCs? Actually, like, I think from school, from uni.
Really?
Yeah. The first time I actually ever discovered venture capital was I was doing an internship in London in my second year of uni. And I didn't like the internship at all. But the only thing I liked was that they made me meet some Nigerians, and there was a particular Nigerian guy who was doing some pro bono work, which was trying to find 5 companies in Africa to fund.
Okay.
So this is obviously like a big conglomerate. They were trying to support African startups. And that was my introduction to VC. And that was the highlight of my internship. And so I ended up doing my final year thesis in the African ecosystem, actually.
Wow.
But I never went into it right after uni. I went into consulting. And then when I got bored of consulting, I was like, what did I actually like a few years ago?
Yeah.
And I started exploring, speaking to different people.
Yeah.
And the fund I work with, I met someone on the board at the dentist. So yeah, that's actually how I got into VC.
it.
Yeah.
We often hear the phrase investors invest in people, not just companies. And you also touched on that earlier on in finding people that you believe are going to be able to give you your return on investment. What does that actually mean in practice? And what are some traits you look for in founders?
Okay. So when we say investors invest in people, it's because a lot of the businesses we invest in, they don't have much traction. And so you don't know what you're not investing in businesses that have been there for 10 years. It's usually their first 3 years that we come into the table. And so when we say we invest in people, it just means that we're investing in the fact that we believe that you're the best person to solve this problem. But also that if you don't solve this particular problem, you figure something else out and solve another problem. And so what you find sometimes is that we've invested in a business, they start doing this, but 2 years down the line, they realize it's not working and then they pivot. So you're investing in just the trust that that person will figure something out that will make sense and that will make money and that will make impact. And so we don't actually shy away from people like changing their businesses, even like Refaini. We've evolved from Refaini to Refaini. And so there's natural evolution when you go into the market and you figure out what your customers actually want.
Right.
And so the fact that we just want to believe that you're very resilient, that you can push through difficult times, but also you have unique insights that other people don't have. And lastly, that you're one of the best people to solve it, because in VC, you want to back like the top 3 businesses in a particular sector.
Right.
You don't really want to back the number 20th. Like it's not what we look for, because we look for extremely high growth, like I said. Billion, I don't want to say $1 billion because in Africa there wouldn't be many $1 billion startups for now. But like extremely valuable businesses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And as an investor yourself, like you as Dolapo, what do you actually pay attention to when you meet a founder and you think, I'm going to give you my money?
What do I pay attention to?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start with my top 3 things
Okay.
I pay attention to. So I pay attention to the person. I really observe like people's personalities. If you're somebody that is open to feedback, if you're someone that's open to change, because like I said, you can't go into something thinking that it's 100, like this is the only way. You have to go in thinking, I want to solve this problem for my customers and I can evolve the methodology I'm using today just to still solve that problem or solve a problem that is feasible to be solved. And so I think that flexibility is something I look for. Sometimes I actually look for people that like are ego, like that have a high ego. Because
So men?
No. You need to back yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you need to back yourself crazy because it's difficult. Like business in general is difficult, but business in Nigeria is like insane. And so you actually need to just believe you're the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And I know it's quite difficult to find somebody that has that, but is also flexible. And so sometimes I think when I first started and I was like, why is this person so extra? I didn't understand it, but I think a few years in VC now, I understand why you actually need to be kind of aggressive to some degree. And aggressive not as an individual, but aggressive as a business owner.
Right.
Because VCs aren't really going to run your business for you. We're going to give you 1 or 2 pieces of advice every other time, but it's actually just believing that you will figure it out. And so I think, having some form of an ego belief, significant belief that like you're going to be the best person to do this. I think secondly is, like I said, some form of flexibility and just like you're laser focused on the problem and the customer, not you and like, what you spent 10 years doing. Like that doesn't matter if the customers don't want to pay for that. I'll say those are like the top two traits that I'm looking for in the team. And lastly, in the team, I think just like skills. So if you're doing fintech, at least have some understanding of financials. So yeah, just kind of background, and education a little bit does matter, because I know people think it doesn't matter, but it actually does
It shows
matter.
when
It actually
when
does. It
yeah.
actually does. It just shows, okay, maybe you can study hard. You can, you know,
Yeah.
all these things. And that doesn't mean that if you don't have that, we wouldn't look for you, but it's just a plus.
Of course.
And so I'll say the team. I think secondly is how big the market is, because for us now that our previous fund was like 46, our new fund is about to be 70 something plus. You know, to be able to return that amount of capital in like threefold, that means your business must really be able to reach scale. And so how scalable your business can be in the market that you're existing in, I think is like the second like most important thing. And then the third, what would I say? I just look for, I guess, a track record, and the track record could be the business track record, but it could also be the individual's like track record. And if it's a business, like, you know, maybe you've been growing at a significant pace one month on month. If let's say this month you were very high, the next month you were very low, and just trying to understand why is that the case. Because at the earlier stages in your business, particularly when like maybe you're 2 years into the line, you figured your customer out, there should be some form of momentum.
Right.
And so that is directionally helpful when we're investing in maybe Series A or post-seed startups, where at that point your numbers should be saying something. So yeah.
Nice. That's very insightful, actually. For someone in like the early stage of their business, how can they refine a strong business model in simple terms? Because I know you had a page that you started a couple of years ago, Road to Riches. And it was so amazing. When I was going through, there were so many gems. I was going through the page, there were so many gems on there. And it's such a simple but profound thing, because it's the difference in performance and profitability. So how can people simply, or how do you define a strong business model?
I think a strong business model ultimately is just one that the economics make sense. So like the financials honestly just have to make sense. I know it can be exciting to just do something because you like it, but no, do it as a hobby. You know? Don't take people's money for that, you know? And so I think just like the bottom line, like margin, like really, really needs to make sense, and the price in which you're able to get it to the market, people should be willing to pay for it. And people should like be excited to pay for it because they want it.
Right.
Rather than you like forcing it, because you spend so many years and you don't have to do that. Like you can actually just pivot. And so yeah.
Nice. And what are your top 3 things founders should have clarity on before even thinking about raising money?
Founders should have clarity on what the business can get to. That is what anybody, whether it's financial, like whether it's equity, which is what I do, or debt, investors, or even grants, like they want to know that you know where the business can head to, and this money is like helping you get there. That's the purpose of the funding, is how can I help you like fast track your growth, right? Because you can actually just build a normal traditional business and your profits, you reinvest it into your business. But when you're taking someone's money that needs to be returned to the people that, you know, to like I need to return the money to my own limited partners.
Yeah.
And you need to return that money to me. You should have a bit of clarity on that and some form of market insight that is unique. I think another thing is to be mindful of a lot of copy and paste and just try and think about like how can you really do this in like a new way or in a way that like people aren't thinking about.
Right.
I would say is another thing. And just like what are people willing to pay for that service? And so you're not underpricing yourself or you're not like overpricing yourself. And be aware of your competition. Like don't say you don't have competition. You do. They could be indirect, but that disposable income of a customer can be used to pay for something else. And so I think that understanding of like your competition and like study them and know like how you can differentiate yourself from them. Because like I said, investors want to invest in like the top people in a market rather than like the 50th or 20th player in that market, especially equity investors. So yeah.
Nice. What are the most common mistakes you've seen founders make when trying to raise capital too early?
Common mistakes founders have made when trying to raise capital early, I think is one, like you're pricing yourself too high. So usually when you're raising money, you have to like kind of come with like some form of valuation in which you want your business to be valued at. And like, yeah, this is like over the roof and not like always realistic in terms of like the market conditions. Like Nigeria is so different from the US, so different from the UK. So you can't actually compare. You actually can't compare yourself like directly, because the average the average income is so different. So it would never really be the same. So I think pricing, and I think sometimes that like rigidity or being a bit rigid in terms of this is what the market wants, but like you've been there for 5 years and nobody's getting on it. And so is it that the timing is wrong? Just like really studying the market, your customers, like you really need to like care so much and like not be hell-bent on like one particular like way or direction. What else would I say? What's a common mistake? Also just like understanding the motivator of the person on the other side of the table. So there's so many different types of investors. There's some that are impact driven. There's some that are like financially driven. There's some that are like, they want to get the money back, which is like debt. And so really understanding the person that you're pitching to, so that you speak the same language. It's kind of like you're applying for a job. There's that cover letter aspect. Should like have that little cover letter where, and in that cover letter, what do you do when you're applying for a job? You're speaking about what the other person wants and how you can give them that.
Yeah.
And so I think a bit of studying on that, so you're speaking like the same language. I don't want to ever, obviously I'm in VC, but if I were to do like a startup, like a tech startup that required kind of external funding, I don't want my business to ever be reliant on an individual or a company. And so how can you build your business to be resilient where if investors don't come, like in terms of institutional equity investors, you'll still do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You need to have that like crazy belief. And sometimes when I encounter people and they're like, oh yeah, they can't do anything because they haven't gotten investors' money, then maybe like this is not the right thing you should be doing, because honestly, investors actually chase after some businesses.
Right.
I've reached out to people like, I see what you're doing. Can I speak to you about it? Because I also need to be investing at a decent pace.
Yeah.
And so almost like, what do we call it? Like not proving, but almost like what's the word? Almost like having if you don't back me, I back myself kind of mentality.
Like it's going to be done either way.
It's going to be done either way because I feel like this is a need and it needs to be solved.
Right.
And so whether it's I need to have a side hustle to start with to be able to create just don't believe, if investors don't give me money, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, when our parents were doing business, they didn't have the investors that you have today. So you're actually spoiled.
Yeah.
Like how can you, at least your first 3 years, do something?
Yeah.
And it will really build resilience in you, because even when investors give you money, there'll be seasons that are low. And so by the time you build that resilience and that mindset, you will never be like, the business cannot survive without, this.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
Very well said. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about building in Africa, because this is something that I'm becoming so passionate about. I'm quite intrigued by, and I think a lot more companies need to pay attention to Africa. And I think there's so much potential here. But like you said earlier on, I mean, I can only really speak for Nigeria. Like, it's good, but it is stressful and it has its own challenges, whether it's operational or financial or economical. But from your perspective, why is building a business in Africa so challenging but also so rewarding?
Okay, I'll start with the latter. Let's start positive.
Yeah.
So why it's so rewarding is because there's so many things that you can solve. The problems in Africa, like we're like years behind a lot of developed markets. And I know we hear it so much, but there are just so many problems. Like And there's so many solutions that can come out of those, that can, arise due to those problems. And I also think like starting a business, like you can literally start it tomorrow. Like there's that amount of flexibility. You can get someone to help you at a slightly, like a significantly cheaper price than in other markets. And so I think the cost of starting is actually very little for a lot of people. Obviously not for the mass, but for maybe some of your viewers, right? The cost of starting is actually not as crazy as it may seem. And relationships are, like Nigerians are a bit, I think, friendly to some degree. That like I told you, I met the person on the board of my fund at the dentist. Like, and so I think you can leverage your network to really like, test ideas in a very like simple and quick manner.
Yeah.
So I'll say that's also why it's exciting. Another thing is because the market, there isn't as much competition in like certain like segments of the market, and so you can really arise to be like the leader in like a few years if you really apply yourself. In terms of problems are a lot. I think infrastructure is also a big thing. I think the fact that what people are, especially with consumer businesses, what people are willing to pay in like a market like Nigeria is just so little versus in the US, right? So people in the US, like they can easily pay like maybe $20, right? But here, the amount of people that can pay $20 for like even jewelry is not that high, right? And so oftentimes you may then need to like scale when it's like businesses that have like physical goods, especially because if you want to provide it to like a certain like quality level, right? And so sometimes I guess the infrastructure, the amount of like the disposable income of the average Nigerian is very little. So I find it's actually easier to do like B2B businesses, where it's like business, you're providing them a service, because usually there's some level of skill and there's some level of income that they have that they can, and the amount of money you can earn from a business is so much higher than like from like, I guess, one individual when you think around like the quantity. And so I would say those are some of the challenges. Obviously, funding is such a challenge. Like, so compared to, founders in the UK or in the US, they can easily raise like $1 million from like even their friends from like college. Whilst here, before you raise that 1 million, the investors would like the due diligence they would even do. And whilst in the US, you can actually raise that in a weekend. Right. And like you really can, like if you're just in the right network of people. And so I think, funding would always be some form of a challenge here. We don't also have a credit market in Nigeria the way there are credit cards in the US. You can easily get like, a Monzo like credit. Here there's not much credits going on. A lot of people, a lot of founders that I work with are constantly looking for some form of debt to be able to scale their businesses, and either the banks are taking long or the rates are extremely high. And so I think access to credit, which is really, really critical for growth, especially when you know your numbers and you know that if you sell it at 5,000, you would make 10,000, and so you can easily pay the bank back. As much as you have that clarity in your numbers, it can still be very difficult to get the amount that you want to get. Right. Like if I went to GTB today, like they may offer me like 5 million naira, but that actually may not move the needle depending on the kind of business that I'm earning. Or I think sometimes the way they assess you is based on also what you already have. And so it can be tricky. Can be a bit tricky raising capital here locally. So
do you think Nigeria needs like a credit market? I don't personally. I can see why it's beneficial to founders, but I don't.
I think Nigeria, not the whole of Nigeria, but some segments of Nigerians need access to more credit for sure.
You think?
For businesses. I don't know that the average, Nigerian that may not have the amount of understanding of credit and how credit works should get access to credit. I don't think so, because education is key for credit. But for people who have that education, that have that background, that have a clarity on how to make money and they've done it before, they need more money to be able to scale their businesses.
And I think that's sort of my point, that for businesses, I think it makes sense. But for individuals, I don't think it's something that we've been educated on quite early on, but also we've seen as like a collective, that to almost just introduce that right away might even add to like
the problems.
So I'm a bit like, I don't know.
I get that.
Yeah. But what do you wish more global investors understood about African founders and markets?
I think more global investors, the Africans and Nigerians are like one of the most resilient people that you would ever meet. Like, look at that. Look at what we're facing. Like, we're here, we're smiling, we're acting like everything is normal, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I think we're just resilient. We know how to push through very, very, very difficult situations that, in a lot of developed markets, I don't know that it will be the same. So,
100%. And from your experience, why should investors be paying attention to Africa right now?
Because we're the next frontier market. Our population is going to be the largest in a few years. Growing, we're a young population as well. We're not aging the way, some Asian markets are aging. And so, like, the fact that we're young means that we can work. The fact that we're young means we're active. And so you can make money out of us if we can make more money. Because we would, like, be willing to, like, pay for things that are maybe not as necessary, but you can still make money from that because we care about certain things. And so when you think around just the growth of the population, the fact that like we're, I guess, 10 or 15 years, some of those markets. So imagine if you invest now, what your return will be in a couple of years. And actually, that's one of the reasons why I came back to Nigeria at the time that I came back. Because I'm like, if I come back now, I'm well suited in the next 5 to 10 years to really be, one of the top investors in Africa, right? Because as the markets develop and as people start more businesses and as people even understand how to manage equity, naturally, like they would need more investors. So as more businesses arise, you will need more investors that have understanding. And so for me, it was important to come back to Lagos 3 years ago because I felt like the market is getting to an inflection point where, when you see like, companies like Paystack and MoneyPoint and all these companies that have come about in the last few years, I want to be really part of that innovation. And so,
Amazing. And you are. You're both a creative founder with Refaini and a VC investor. How do those two worlds inform each other?
So they're very different worlds. I sometimes feel like when I switch from one to another, I'm like a different person. It's almost like an alter ego comes about. But I've found with time that there's actually some like convergence. When you think around VC investing, you're dealing with a lot of numbers. And so it helps inform the way I run my business from like a financial aspect of things. The way I run my business from like an operational aspect of things is less like creative and more like, there's creativity, but like this is a business. Creativity is just what we sell. But it still needs like the back end, it still needs to be a well-oiled wheel. And so I would say it's helped the way I've run Refaini. And I would say it's also helped me be a bit more open when it comes to like investments and not be a bit narrow-minded, but rather like even open to like how does tech and creativity like intertwine and how does finance, like how do you even finance creative businesses? And I think that's kind of like one big question I think I'm trying to solve.
That's a great point, actually.
Yeah, like how do you finance VC is not the right finance model. Asset class. It's not at all. It can never work. It doesn't work because to build a brand, it takes more than 10 years. It does take more than 10 years to build a very strong legacy brand that's not going to last because of a trend. When you think around LVMH and all these like big fashion houses globally, they've been there for decades. They've been like their parents pass it on to their children, and there's heritage involved in it, and VC doesn't enable that. It's quick, it's fast. need to be able to scale it at a significant pace. You don't have as much time to understand your customers to that level of detail to ensure that you're constantly aligned with the trends, right? And so I don't think venture capital is the right financing line. I don't think a quick overdraft from a bank is also the right financing for creative businesses that want to really scale. And so I think a big part of why I'm doing both is really to understand what is the right financing model for kind of creative businesses in the long term in Africa, which is key because that is going to be one of our next exports. And so I think that's something I'm constantly like taking notes on because right now there isn't any like efficient funding model for anybody that's doing anything creative if you don't have friends and family. So,
yeah, that's such an interesting point, and it's so relevant to almost like the creative economy right now, especially in Nigeria specifically, because we're growing at an exponential rate, but then there also isn't that infrastructure to allow us scale at the level where I think so many creators and businesses, because they have huge potential. But what have you observed in trying to have that hybrid between both worlds?
What have I observed about creative businesses? I think the foundation of them is not right. Like a lot of the businesses are just sometimes started on, I like clothes, I'm going to do clothes. And then you just start making clothes, getting a tailor to sew, and like, what is the long-term vision? How do I sustain this beyond the current way it's doing? How do I create a strong back end? How do I also even empower my employees to see like a future in the business in the long haul? How do I tell a story that is strong? And so sometimes I think it's very easy to start a business. Like I can start a fashion business tomorrow in Lagos. Like you just need a tailor and there's so many in excess, right? And so sometimes you just start so quickly, which is not bad because you can start and you can evolve. But I don't know that a lot of creative businesses that I've understudied have that like good backbone operationally to scale. And I don't also think a lot of the infrastructure in Africa enables that scale. So yes, you can make 100 clothes, but can you make 2,000 that are going to be the same type? So we don't really have that level of precision or like many factories that can do that. And neither do we also have sometimes the disposable income to be able to afford some of the like designers things, right? And there's a lot of craftsmanship that goes into it that makes them price. I'm sure you've seen the whole debate about pricing of clothes, Nigerian designers, but if you think about it, they need to pay themselves, they need to pay their staff, they need to have profits to be able to grow, right? If you're buying goods in bulk, you need to have, there's a minimum order quantity if you're importing to sell. And so sometimes all of those like nuances aren't like understood. And obviously I'm sure some people do overprice their items for sure. But I think like a lot of businesses are actually not making that much profit to be able to scale. And so there's been like a report by it's called Crea Fund by Propaco, which is like a French development finance institution that has really, because of how much the French government cares about like fashion and things like that, they've actually done a whole report on like the African kind of creative economy. And what you see is like there are not many businesses that are earning over $1 million, right? And so yes, they are doing well, but are you getting to that level of scale that makes something sustainable, that have huge impact when you're employing hundreds of people? And that might not be everybody's vision, but there needs to be a few of those people in the economy to really move, to really be able to move the needle. And so I think that's some of it. And I don't know that I know the answer yet, fully, but that's what I'm starting to know some things, and I'm hoping that at least in a few years I will know the answer.
That's amazing. And do you think creative founders have an advantage when it comes to storytelling and pitching?
Advantage? Do we have an advantage? I'm not sure, actually.
It's a level playing field.
I'm not sure, really, because, it's again, a nice, interesting story, but, like, okay, so what's been your traction over the last 5 years, and it's up and down? How many staff do you have? Do you have an accountant? Do you have someone doing your taxes? Like, once all those things are broken, then I'm not really going to be able to trust you that like if I give you this money, it will be returned in multiple fold. You know?
So essentially, it needs to be more than just
nice things.
Yeah.
It needs to be operationally like, and it's not easy, but that needs to be like what you're aiming to get to.
Right.
So it might not be from the beginning.
Yeah. And I think it's also important for us to outsource when we're not good at certain skills, because you can't be
you can't be everything. And that's the truth. A lot of creative businesses are actually a lot of creative founders are more creative than like analytical.
Right.
And that's actually sometimes I struggle because I feel like I'm a little bit more analytical than creative. And I'm creative a bit, but I'm not as like, I find that my venture capital world is a lot easier than my creative.
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to constantly be like innovating and like you're not sure if consumers will like it and things like that. But if you're selling water, you're sure that everybody's gonna like.
Yeah.
You're selling like basic needs of people. So what we do is we only invest in like people that are selling needs,
right,
rather than like nice to haves.
Yeah.
And when you're selling nice to haves, you just don't know how people will take it.
Yeah. And I want us to speak directly to women founders because I watch so many interviews and podcasts as well that I love. And it's a common recurring thing that I see where there is a funding gap, but also a lot of women don't actually put themselves up or their businesses up for investors. So what advice would you give to women founders who struggle with confidence when pitching or asking for funding and maybe even undervaluing themselves or their business?
I think it's all a mindset thing. I think it's not real. Like what's in your head is not real. It's a mindset shift that like is required to have that like self-belief. And so I think, like you said, the challenge with this funding gap also comes from the investor side, really.
Okay.
Sometimes not really understanding some of the businesses that women choose to enter. And what we've seen is that women actually choose to enter like creative fields naturally more than like, financial or traditional fields, right? Because maybe you were brought up, you helped your mom do her hair, you did makeup, you did, all of those things that naturally women get inclined to are in the creative field, which the economy or the finance world does not really understand.
Right.
And so naturally there will be that gap because of the kind of businesses that they choose to do. Also because there are also more men on the like investing side of the table and there's that natural like bias. So my advice would also be like try and acquaint yourself with some female investors. Like obviously it's not black like 100% that every woman is for women. Every man is for men. But that is something. There's some investors on the continent that are particularly passionate about that. And then lastly, just like try and empower yourself to believe in yourself. Like I don't know that these things will naturally just come to you if you're doubting yourself, but like pursuing it as a goal, pursuing like you must be fed up of like that like lack of confidence and pursuing how can I gain my confidence more, because honestly I'm even smarter than the people that are raising the money. And so just that like die hard like self-belief I think is something that is worked on, and it's actually something that like it's not that you get it one day and that's it. Like, it's a constant thing that you keep working on, which will be whether it's filling yourself with like podcasts that are empowering, books, faith-filled things, whatever it is that would empower you to see yourself in that manner. I think it's worth pursuing. Like I am constantly, like it's even so bad. Sometimes I'm like, Dolapo, please work. I'm constantly listening to podcasts. Like
really,
like, almost every day I listen to something that's empowering.
What's your favorite podcast? Actually, no.
No, don't worry, it's not Nigerian.
No, it's not even that. But this is real with Rayo.
Yeah, let's focus on that. It's real with Rayo.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah, I constantly listen to things that uplift me, but that give me education. If I know something more than another person, I'm going to be good at it.
That's true.
And so constantly like pursuing that level of mastery, which takes a bit of time. Because once you have that mastery, no one can take it out of you.
Exactly.
And so if you want to go into something, like watch everything that has to do with it. Yeah. There's so many resources out here. Like failure is not an option in this world. I feel like, there's so many free resources. AI, like there's so many things. Like literally, like I take part. I used to watch like I don't know why I did this. I watched so many random things. So I used to watch this video by this like American girl on how to make like $1,000 in a week if you like just even teach people like English and stuff. Like there are just so many ways to like empower yourself, but you need to pursue it and want it. Because it's free. It's actually freely available to you. And even God says that you have everything that you need, right? And so that just fights and filling yourself with, I think, people that also have your mindset as well, or that have that mindset that wouldn't ever let you like slack or not believe in yourself. Like there's some friends I call, they're like, please, I beg, sit down. Like literally, like even So filling yourself with people that like believe in you, you know, it's helpful.
Nice. So one belief you had to unlearn as a woman in business and investing.
I think one belief is kind of still linked to that like, oh, maybe everybody is like knows things more than I do. But the thing is that confidence is everything. Like some people don't actually know half of what you know, but they're just so confident about it that you're like, wow, you're so smart. But it's like, if you dig deeper, you're actually saying rubbish.
Yeah.
And so I think just like, not believing that like the people around you all know more than you and like trying to like not compare yourself to other people. And think like, they were smarter than me because they like, I'm naturally actually an introvert. And so sometimes I'm like in meetings, like I'm not the most talkative person, like naturally or just in life. And so sometimes I think I used to see that as a flaw. But now I think some days, some bad days, obviously you don't. But now at days, at least most times, I'm like, I use it as a tool to like just pay attention. And like listen and get little details and then,
Yeah. If a young woman is listening and thinking, I'm not ready yet in terms of starting her business or acting on an idea, what would you say to her?
I think that I would say to you, let me say the full statement. So I think I'll say to you, if you feel like you're not ready yet to start something, and there's no like valid reason why. Well, you would always think they're valid, but most of the times they're not valid. Is like, won't you hate to see someone else doing that thing? I think that's it for me. Like House of Refaini, why I did this, I was like, everybody's saying African fashion. If someone does it before me, you know, it's fine. But like, how painful will it be to be like, oh wow, God actually gave me this idea and I didn't execute on it because I was like, oh yeah, I can't. But like I'm seeing like other people doing it and it's fine, and I'm just like, you know, why not? And so I think living with that idea of like, I actually had this idea and I was going to execute it. And I think, I think that is one big motivator for me because I'm just like, wow, so it was done. And it wasn't me. And I was the one thinking about it like for 3 years.
Can you imagine?
It was just there, me thinking about it, writing about it. And like 50 people have gone ahead and done it. And it can be discouraging. But even if there are 50 people, you have a unique flair. And so I think, I personally see any idea that I get given is an idea given from God. 100%. And it's just looking for a vessel on earth that will carry it out. And if it's not you, it will just go to the next person and grace will follow. Because he needs someone to execute it because there's a problem. And when there are problems, there's a solution required. And even if you're not ready to take up that cross to act on that, I think he still needs things to work on the earth. Yeah. And so he will get someone else to be able to do that. And I think for me, that's something that pushes me to be like, okay, like if I don't do it, someone else will do it.
Yeah.
So maybe you should do it because you don't know how it will work out. And I think just curiosity to see what happens, what if.
Yeah. So, I've spoken about that sentiment so many times on this podcast. And it's something that I'm hell-bent on because I've seen it even happen to me in terms of executing fast, but also not executing. And then months later, I'm like, oh my goodness, they beat me to it. And it's like, it's my fault. It's like, it's my fault because you easily could have done it and it was given to you for a reason. So I echo that. I have a question I want to ask you. This is actually a personal question. So it's not even on the cards, but I was just thinking as you were speaking, if you have a business idea and you think it's a problem that needs to be solved, but you don't necessarily think you're not enough, but you don't have the skill set in that sector to be able to execute that idea, how can you go about finding like a co-founder, or what advice would you give to someone in that position?
Okay, that's a really good question. There's two answers, and like life, there's nuance.
Yeah.
One is maybe don't solve it, because like every day I see problems. Like I'm seeing wiring in some, like I see problems, and I'm sure like, you know, yeah, I see a lot of problems every day, and we all see a lot of problems every day, and I can't solve everything. But I think the second nuance is if there's something that's like maybe tugging on your heart, and you kind of feel some kind of inclination to pursue it, then I think dating the ideas with like different people, you know, having conversations. There's so many opportunities for me that have come out of like random conversations, and sometimes people can be like, let me not say it before someone takes my idea.
That's what I'm scared of, and that was what I was going to talk to you about when you said conversations. I was like, how do you trust that
it wouldn't be like stolen? And I think obviously you can share like with wisdom. You may not reveal everything. You could just say, oh, like let's say you're talking about like, I don't know, a podcast, you could just say, oh, you want to have more intimate conversation. Like you may not have to say it like in all like in so much detail, but you just don't know who that like co-founder or like helper would be. But I think ultimately it actually comes with that like backing yourself, that like, you know, because some people will actually like take that and then go and do it. But I think, just like, also I guess, just using wisdom to maybe say it to the right people, but that also can be difficult because you also don't know, you don't know what everybody's intention is. But I think, I've been looking for like, not a co-founder, but like definitely like leadership for my business as well, right? And I say it all the time, right? But I guess that's slightly easier to say than like, oh, the actual what the business is, right? But regardless, I think it comes with that backing. And then if it's something that you don't have the skill set to do at all, is it learnable? Is it like, and how quick is it? But also, I think ultimately people thrive in areas that they have natural skills in. And so I tend to optimize for things that I'm naturally like good at, because it will just take so much. It's just better, because for me to get from like maybe 80% to 100%, it will be so much faster than like 0. And I'm like, you know, so sometimes, I think that might be it.
Nice. So we're going to the last section of the episode. I always like to ask my guests what's their 3-step playbook in building something practical that relates to their expertise. But for you, I have like 3 different things I couldn't pick. So if you don't mind, I would want to know, what is your 3-step playbook for, 1, investing in yourself as a founder?
Investing in myself as a founder?
Or people investing in themselves, or founders investing in themselves?
Investing, like, just like in like learning things itself.
Like personally,
Sorry, when you say investing, not like financial investing.
No, not like
just
financial
like
investing.
Empowering yourself.
Exactly.
I think in investing in yourself or empowering yourself, I think it's helpful to learn and to be constantly kind of curious. I think that's like one thing that I'm even like trying to over-optimize for this year. Is like that curiosity and that ability to learn a lot. I think you do need some form of faith. Like for me, it's my Christian faith that really, really drives me, because being a founder is difficult. Like it's actually difficult. I find it so much more difficult than like being an employee. And so I think you need like a bigger power, a bigger vision that is driving you to pursue that on a daily basis, even when things are difficult, even when you've not figured it all out. So I think, investing in yourself, investing in, I guess, your spiritual kind of self. Sorry, going back. So I guess investing in like knowledge and education. I think investing in yourself, like from like a spiritual angle. And then I think like people. I just know that I cannot do like Refaini without people, because I guess I also have a job, right? But secondly, like you're just not going to be the best at everything. And so like sometimes people are like, I'll do everything, but I don't have that mindset at all. I feel like whatever you're doing, try and find help when you need help. And this could be like pro bono help. This could be telling friends. This could be, but like, just don't try and do everything yourself because you will burn out so fast. And when you're burnt out, it will now take you like 2 months to recover.
Yeah.
And then there's now this whole cycle of like up and down. And I think consistency is key for every sort of business.
Yeah.
And so the ability to put processes and systems in your business or in your life that can make you be consistent. Because I really think business is a consistent game. Like, I think it's a consistency game. Like, if you can do 10 years, you'll figure it out. You actually figure it out. Because other people would give up.
Yeah, that's so
like
true.
People, like the average, I don't know it offhand, but I think the average like life of businesses that stay past like year one is like maybe like 10% or something, like really low numbers. And like, it just shows that the more you stay onto something, the more you'll figure it out.
Yeah. Nice. And 3-step playbook for refining your business model. Very simply.
So for refining your business model, so you have an existing business model and you want to like switch it up a bit.
Exactly.
I think understanding your customer. So understanding your customer, understanding what they're willing to pay for, and providing them with what they need rather than what you think they need. Providing them with what they need at a price that they're going to be able to accept it as. I think that's it.
Nice. And how do you usually make that evaluation? Because with Refining, for example, I love how you've pivoted from like Refining Studios to Refining, which is more lifestyle led, and even House of Refining, which is a beautiful space. I managed to catch it in December, and it was so beautiful. It smelled amazing, by the way. That was like one of my favorite things.
Yeah, we want it to be sensory.
I love that because I'm really big on that. But yeah, so how do you sort of make those evaluations?
Speaking to people. Like, I don't actually release products without showing people.
Okay.
I always show like samples, sketches. I show people.
Like your friends or like a sample group?
Friends, like random people. Like literally, like I don't think even it's as complicated as a focus group, putting a survey out there. It can be for certain types of things, but the opinion of the people that you're going to sell to are. And sometimes they're not your friends because, even if your friends, like, they may not be able to pay for what it is that you're selling, especially if you're in a premium segment and you're 18,
exactly.
Right? But speaking to people that are going to be your customers, however it is that you can speak to them, like, the world is so, even TikTok, there's just so many ways to, like, collect information. ChatGPT now basically collates all the information on the internet for you. So that is some form of a starting point. So I think just like engaging with people, testing things, and like being quick to like iterate.
Yeah. Amazing. At the end of each episode, I always ask my guests what their Ikigai is. If you don't know what Ikigai is, it's a Japanese concept that translates to your reason for being. And the idea behind that is it's a Venn diagram and there are 4 different questions. So answering those 4 questions will bring you closer to your purpose. So it's rapid fire style. I'm just going to ask you, Dolapo, what do you love?
I love seeing things come to life.
Nice. What are you really good at?
I'm really good at problem solving.
What can you be paid for other than the things you're already doing?
Can I be paid for other than what I'm already doing?
Yeah.
I think personal finance.
I need that. Nice. And finally, what does the world need that you are uniquely positioned to give?
That's okay. It's meant to be rapid fire. So.
No, that one you can expand on.
What does the world need that I'm uniquely positioned to give? I think the world needs people that just do things.
Yes, yeah.
Then like think about it, dwell on it, cry out, like just go.
Do it.
So my mom and my dad, they would say, Dolapo only knows go, she doesn't know come. And it can be a good thing, but it can also be a problem, right? But I think the ability to just like get on things, this is not working, get on it.
Yeah.
Like, so I think the world needs people that like, I guess, believe in themselves so much that like they would just try, and like even if it doesn't work out, okay, but I tried. Yeah, and also people that I think beyond doing that, they really live a life or aim to live a life that is aligned to what God wants for them as well. So, yeah.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much for being a guest, but also bringing so much value, wisdom, and insight into this conversation. I've learned so much, and I also have so much to reflect on. Like, I think this is one of those episodes where I'm actually going to take my notes myself and be like, okay, how can I implement this into the things I'm already doing and ideas that I'm thinking about? And I just need to do it.
Go for it, and it will work out. Trust me, it will.
Thank you so much. Real ones, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, or leave a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making it work.